This evening's one of those evenings where the shadows just seem to get longer, and every breeze through the trees makes you want to stop and listen.
Right now, sitting on the edge of an abandoned railway, listening to the wind howl through the trees like the memories of the steam engines that once rolled through here.
With Halloween right around the corner, we thought this was a great opportunity to share with you some of the creepiest stories we've heard along the way, plus some of the strange and unexplainable things that have actually happened to us personally on our journey.
Haunted cemeteries, ghostly encounters, and a few things that just gave us the chills.
So grab a blanket, stoke the fire, and settle in. This is Tracks, Trails, and Forgotten Tales, our Halloween Campfire special, Haunted Trails and Restless Spirits. Our first story takes us to the Similkameen Valley and the small town of Coalmont, all the way back to 1920, and the story of Madam Hattie McBride. Hattie McBride was a well-known woman in Coalmont. She was not respected, but she was well-liked, and she was an independent, prominent woman. She actually had quite a bit of money, enough to buy a couple parcels of land, on one of which she built her own cabin. Now, keep in mind, Hattie McBride was a prostitute and lady of the night. Now, her fate, though, came on that night, November 20th, 1920, when Hattie McBride was brutally murdered in her own cabin. Now, the story goes, and actually it's not even a story, there's a newspaper article from the Vancouver Sun from December 7th, 1920. Hattie it wasn't her cabin that burnt down. Hattie was set on fire, and the cabin burnt around her.
It was said that the body was so charred and so burnt that they couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman or a child. And that's how they came to the conclusion that she was lit on fire first before the cabin burned down. So on that night as well, at about midnight, two gentlemen callers came by, presumably customers. Knocked on the door and there was no answer, so they left. And it was shortly after that smoke was seen rising from her house.
The fire was so hot, they just had to let it burn. And it was the next morning that they found the remains of Hattie in there. Terribly charred. What a awful way to die. Hattie, her final resting place, and I say resting, I don't think she's resting, but her final resting place is up at the Granite Creek Cemetery, which is just up the street from Coalmont. Her gravesite is on the outskirts of what was the original cemetery because of her profession. They did not bury her inside the actual cemetery. She was buried by herself on the outside. Now, there are a lot of stories from the locals and visitors that Hattie is not resting. Hattie actually wanders along the creek and the river in Coalmont at night. Coalmont's Lady of the Night, and she's still haunting the cemetery to this day. People have seen apparitions of a woman wandering along the river.
Creepy.
Very.
Very, very creepy. Now, we've been into the cemetery a couple times. First time we went was about a year and a half ago, and we drove up. It was about dusk, and we pulled in, and right away we got out and we're like, something feels off.
Now, we've been to a lot of cemeteries, and very old cemeteries, but this one did feel off. There's not many that do, but there are some. We're going to share those.
This one was pretty weird, and I don't know if it was just the time of night we were there, but I wanted to fly my drone up over top, and Carm right away is like, nope, don't feel right about it. We're not even going to look around. We have to go.
We looked around a little bit, but we didn't spend that much time. And yeah, it did not feel right. Dan thought I was crazy, that I didn't want to fly the drone, but there was just something in me that I felt that it was just not the right time to do that. It would be disrespectful, and it was unwanted. So
we left.
But now it brings us back to our second time. visiting the Granite Creek Cemetery. We love exploring this area. But in this particular visit, we had heard the story of Hattie McBride, and we wanted to go back to see if we could find, there's still some charred remnants of her cabin. Unfortunately, there was floods a few years ago and washed most of it away. But we wanted to go find her gravesite. So we went back in spring of this year, and that brings us to our next unexplainable events in this area.
This one was a weird one for me because the first time we were there, I didn't feel anything. I was just like, whatever. This time we went there and we got all geared up, got our camera equipment all set up, and we started walking in, and we got in maybe 20 feet. And we've never had a problem with our equipment before, and my camera just shut off. I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, all right then.
So we walked back out to the beginning of the road.
We started all over again, put the camera back on, started recording, came back in, and we got in a little further, and maybe about 10 minutes or so, and then again, camera shut off.
So here we go back along the short gravel road. Walking back, we said, okay, we're gonna try this one more time. I don't know what is going on. We've never had issues with the GoPro before. This time it did let us get into the cemetery. And we took a little bit of footage, but then it happened again.
Yeah. At that point, we decided that we weren't wanted.
Somebody did not want us there.
So we decided we'll just take a couple of pictures and be on our way.
And I could see that. It feels, there's certain places that we've gone to where the air just feels heavier. And it's quieter somehow, like a creepy quiet, where you don't even hear the rustle of the trees and all you can hear are leaves and gravel under your feet. It's just one of those feelings and sounds that unless you've experienced it.
It was eerie, no birds.
Yeah.
Like it was quiet.
So we found Hattie McBride's gravesite. We got a couple photos, paid our respects to Hattie and everybody else that's there. So after we left Hattie McBride's gravesite, we went over to where before we left, we wanted to walk by the Chinese portion of the graveyard.
Now the Chinese portion of the graveyard is like many in the gold rush days. When the miners died, they were buried there. However, their graves are always exhumed and the bones sent back to their homeland because it's believed that they're never fully at rest or at peace until they're in their own homeland to be buried. So the bones here were exhumed, but they never made it back to their homeland. They were never found.
No, you can still see where the graves were dug up. It's a sad place as you walk through there. So then we went back to the truck, and this is where our second tech glitch happened that, again, has never happened before. Dan wanted to get some drone footage over top of Granite City. Now, where the truck was parked outside the cemetery sits over top of Granite City. So he wanted to get up and over and the remains of what's left of Granite City. Yeah,
so I got the drone up, pressed record, and away I went. I went over top. And as I was coming back, I glanced down at the controller and the record button wasn't on. I'm like, oh, that's weird. I must have not done it.
Well, that's happened before.
It's happened before. So second time, I went up and Carm, she was there. She watched me press that record button.
I watched it. I was watching the screen.
So I went up and I flew over top and I got footage over top of the Granite City. Came back. She watched me hit the record button turn the record button off. The file wasn't there. It's corrupt.
However, 2 days later, that drone footage showed up.
Yeah. So when we got home
and went to download
it, the file was there. So at the cemetery, said it was corrupt. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it again. It's fine.
Somebody doesn't want us here.
But then it did show up eventually when we got back at home, which was, to me, kind of bone-chilling.
It really was. That whole experience there was, and it's somebody did not want us to record that day. Now, whether it was the spirit of Hattie McBride or all of those spirits of the Chinese miners that are not yet at peace, or some other spirit that's still haunting that place, I don't know what it was, but they didn't want us there. They definitely did not want us to record our visit. Our next story takes you only a mile down the road from Granite Creek from Granite Creek Cemetery into Coalmont and the Coalmont Hotel, which was built in 1912. Now, the Coalmont Hotel used to be one of BC's longest continuously running hotels. It's now closed, but visitors and locals alike have decades of ghost stories about this hotel.
Yeah, this hotel is super haunted. So many people talk about the things they've seen there. They've seen apparitions of women walking up and down the hallways. People said that they felt when they're in bed, somebody sitting on the side of the bed,
but never seeing anyone.
This is no joke. This one is so haunted.
Yeah, there's been ghost hunters that have gone into the hotel to do their thing. We're not ghost hunters, but we do love a good ghost story.
Sure do.
But there's reports of glasses moving on the bar, a girl crying in the hallway. There's just so many. And this is one of the places that unfortunately we have been unable to experience ourselves. We've only been able to look in from the outside.
Yeah, that's really too bad. The hotel closed only a few years before we started exploring this area. So, I mean, we've always wanted to go in. So if there's anybody out there that's able to let us into that hotel to have a look around, we would love to.
Please. We ran into talking to a local at one point, and apparently the third floor is
pretty dilapidated,
yeah. Decayed floorboards, but people have seen apparitions or people in the windows. There's so many hauntings at this Coalmont Hotel. That would be a cool experience to get in there.
Absolutely.
So some say that the hauntings are a saloon girl or one of the miners, but the Coalmont Hotel has seen its share of rowdy miners, travelers, showgirls, and those that live there will say everybody that has checked in to the Coalmont Hotel has not left.
So the next area we're going to is a cemetery above Greenwood, British Columbia. It's the former booming ghost town of Phoenix, British Columbia, and the cemetery just below it. Now this cemetery has not been used since 1919. And that was around the same time the Spanish flu came through. And a lot of the graves in there, sadly, are children that succumbed to that flu.
You walk into, and I just kind of lay a picture in your mind for you, if you haven't been there. When you park along the side of the road and you walk into the cemetery, you pass through this old iron gate and down these old cement steps. And again, it just becomes still and quiet. And the locals have done such a great job of preserving and the cemetery. Mm-hmm. But some of the graves are still unmarked, but many of them, days old, 3, 4, 5 years old. Our son, even at this point, he was a teenager the first time we went there, and the first thing he did was take his hat off. And you should do that out of respect, but it was just something in him that went, it was the saddest place I think I have ever been to.
Yeah. So, a couple of years ago, we did a video on this. Mm-hmm. And one of the comments that I had from that video was a woman who visited there with her 5-year-old autistic daughter. And she said it was the creepiest place she's ever been. But the biggest reason for that is her daughter kept pointing out, so in behind the cemetery is this big meadow, mm-hmm. wide open. And her daughter kept pointing out and laughing, and Mom kind of looks at her and says, "What are you laughing at?" She's like, "Oh, I'm just looking at all the kids playing out in the field. Their mom looked out, she didn't see anything. And it was more than once that this happened while they were there. So yeah, that's bone chilling and spine tingling to me.
That's not the first time somebody's experienced the laughter of children or seeing children in the field behind playing. After I heard that, I was kind of doing a little bit of ghost story research, and that is quite common to see children playing in that field. So our next story doesn't take place in a ghost town or a cemetery. It takes place in British Columbia's capital city, Victoria, BC. Also one of the most haunted cities in Canada.
That it is, definitely is.
Oh, we've been to Victoria more times than we can count. But over the years, we've tried to make a point when we're visiting to go on a ghost tour. Now, these ghost tours are awesome. The stories that they tell, walking around the city, it's always at night. And the ghost stories that you hear about the apparitions people see, this sound of chains going along the back alleys on their way to the gallows. It's just surreal. Mm-hmm. The hauntings of the Empress Hotel and the one school. There's so many that to go into. But it was on our last ghost tour, our last trip to Victoria. But let me go back to the day before we went on the ghost tour. We were wandering around Victoria, just like anybody would. We were a tourist, down Government Street, down to the wharf, all of that great stuff. But the cutest thing, and I thought it was cute, was there was this little black cat that kept following us. We kept running into this black cat everywhere we went.
It was within about a 4-block radius, so I mean, it's not unheard of to run into the same animal because they tend to get around.
It was so cute though. So later that night we go and we join our group for the ghost tour, and we break off with our group and we're, mm-hmm. going through, and we were going down the back alleys and all these other places.
Now, just to be clear, this ghost tour was on the other side of Victoria. This was not in the same area we saw the cat.
We were quite a ways away. It wasn't on the other side of Victoria, but we were probably about 6 or 7 blocks away from where we saw the cat before. Mm-hmm. Yes. We kept running into the cat again.
And we know it's the same cat. It had the same collar on it.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's weird. Like, why is this cat here again?
So
it's now nighttime. It's hours and hours later. We hadn't seen it in probably 3 or 4 hours. Now we're on this ghost tour. Cat shows up.
So that I thought was a bit, I thought it was cute during the day. I like cats. This started to get a little creepy and a little, you couldn't explain it, but we thought, okay, whatever. Let's move on. We'll continue the ghost tour. But then, Dan still doesn't believe me to this day. I still
struggle with this. I'm going to tell a story. I still struggle with this. So we're on the ghost tour and we're in a crowd of people.
In a back alley.
And there's this part where the guy that's leading the tour is explaining something to us, and he's having everybody look one direction. Well, Carm and I are at the back of the tour. There's a couple of people beside me. And this guy walks through and says, excuse me. He's got a top hat on, whatever. I thought he was just part of the tour, right? I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. I moved out of the way, and away he went. And I looked at Carm and I said, that was so weird that the guy with the top hat came by.
There was no guy with a top hat. Like, Dan, nobody said, excuse me. There was no guy with a top hat. I was standing right next to him. Nobody else moved or saw this guy. And why would a guy with a top hat be in a back alley at this point and nobody else see? Nobody blinked an eye. They were still listening to our tour guide tell the story.
Mm-hmm. So, anyway, very, very strange to me that this would happen, because Carm was right beside me and she did not see him. She looked at me when I said, oh, pardon me, but she didn't know what I was talking about.
Like, what? What'd you do? Like,
Yeah,
It was wow. To this day,
it's been 3 years since this happened, and I still don't fully believe that.
Okay, if I was lying and kind of, I wouldn't have let it go on for 3 years. As funny as it would be for a little while, I wouldn't let it go on for 3 years. There was no guy in a top hat.
By far the creepiest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. To this day, it freaks me out a bit. Every time I go to Victoria, I'm like, ugh.
We haven't done a ghost tour since.
No.
It's not uncommon in Victoria, between Government Street and Bastion Square, to see people in Victorian clothing. That was the area between the gallows and the jail that burned down. They also say that if you see a black cat or a black cat crosses your path twice, it's not a warning, it's an escort.
We've spent years exploring forgotten places and ghost towns, but every once in a while, something reminds us that maybe they're not so forgotten after all.
Whether it's a whisper in the wind, a flicker of a light, or just a missing video clip that suddenly reappears, some stories just refuse to stay buried.
So tonight, wherever you are, keep the fire close, the flashlight ready, and your mind open, because the trails aren't the only things haunted by the past.